So what is going on, guys? I'm Amazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel where today I have for you multiple big news stories that have taken place over the past week or so to do with Activision, and well, to be honest, are we surprised? No, this is a regular occurrence now, although with the acquisition of Xbox, which should be taking place next year, you would have thought things would have started to change already, and we have seen a few things put in place, but there are still many problems at Activision which all stems down the food chain all the way to the games they publish, Call of Duty being one of them. And we have seen the effects of this because we know that this year's Call of Duty Vanguard is the worst selling launch title for, 14 years? But I'm willing to bet some of that, maybe just a small portion, is down to all of the controversy surrounding Activision. There will be some people out there who just don't want to buy any of their products because of what they've been doing. So this does affect COD, all of the other games they own, the people with inside the company, the employees, as you'll see in just a second. Those people that make the games don't actually want to work under Activision. So there's a ton of stuff going on which I want to talk about in this video. The first article I want to show you guys was this one. It was a tweet that was put out by Rebecca where she said, Activision is claiming the Microsoft deal, for which talks began in November 2021, stopped it from hiring a third woman to its board by December 31st, as required by California law. Activision Blizzard claims that its violation of California law that requires the company to have at least 3 women on its board of directors by the end of 2021 is due to complications with its upcoming acquisition by Microsoft, despite having 3 years to comply with the law. Activision Blizzard's annual report for 2021 includes an acknowledgement that it failed to comply with a California law that requires companies headquartered in the state with at least 6 members on the board of directors to include 3 women on their board by the end of 2021. The company currently has 2 women on a board of 10. Activision Blizzard attributes its failure to appoint a third woman to its board to its upcoming planned acquisition by Microsoft, which doesn't close until 2023. To meet this requirement and improve the diversity of our board of directors, the company retained a search firm and began interviewing potential additional female directors in 2021. However, since the company's current directors would cease to continue to serve on our board of directors upon consummation of our proposed transaction with Microsoft, we were unable to conclude the process in 2021. We will be continuing our efforts to appoint a new female director. Notably, however, Activision Blizzard has known it would need to comply with this law for some time. The law went into effect on January 1st, 2019, at which time Activision Blizzard had 2 women on its 10-person board of directors, whose names are Rebecca Bowers and Elena Wynn. Wynn departed the board in 2020, at which time the company almost immediately appointed another woman, but they haven't appointed any other board members since Bowers' appointment back in 2018. Talks between Activision and Microsoft began in mid-November 2021, just 3 days after a Wall Street Journal report revealed that CEO Bobby Kotick knew about the sexual assault and misconduct allegations happening at the company, but did not disclose them to the board of directors. The California law in question has resulted in a dramatic increase in women appointed to board seats in the state. Interestingly, in the 2 years before the law's enactment, only 208 women were newly appointed to board seats in California. In the 2 years after, 739 were appointed, and in the first quarter of 2021, women filled 45% of California board appointments. All of this news comes while Activision remains embroiled in a lawsuit from the state of California, alleging the companies fostered a frat boy culture in which women who worked there were subject to harassment, unequal pay, and a toxic work environment, which of course we all know about. So considering we heard about this frat boy work culture many months ago, and now to have this news trending that they haven't employed a third female member onto the board of directors, which is California law. Activision have said that the reason they haven't done this is because of the recent Microsoft acquisition, but as you just heard from the article, they have known about this law since 2019. So obviously it doesn't look good considering everything else that's been going on around them to do with women, their mistreatment in the workplace. That just, in my opinion at least, highlights this even further. They have said they will be getting round to it, so we'll just have to see. And also, if you want to check any of these articles out for yourself, I will leave the links down in the description. But the next big piece of news is from The Verge, where their title was Activision Blizzard halts new sales of games in Russia. And of course this is very to do with the times because a lot of companies are doing this, pulling their products from Russia, not doing business with them because of what's taking place in Ukraine. Anyway, let's take a look at this one. It says, Activision Blizzard is suspending new sales of and in its games in Russia. That is what the games company's president, Daniel Allegri, announced in a public shared letter to its employees. This move bars Russians from any new transactions with the company, which include both the sales of its games and in-game purchases. The press release doesn't specify whether the ban includes both digital and physical games. It does, however, highlight some of the contributions the company and its employees made to Ukraine, and also offers resources to workers affected by the war. They said, we are doing everything possible to assist employees and their families who are being directly affected by this tragedy. In the letter it said, if you or any colleagues need support, please don't hesitate to reach out to your manager or local HR leaders. I'd also like to remind you that our Employee Assistance Program is available to anyone who needs emotional support during this time. Activision Blizzard joins a growing list of game companies that have stopped doing business in Russia. Microsoft, which announced its plans to purchase Activision Blizzard in January, has moved to ban new sales of its products and services in Russia and Belarus, a bloc that not only includes Xbox games, but also products associated with Windows, Office, Microsoft 365, and more. Meanwhile, EA has removed Russian teams from FIFA and NHL. Cyberpunk 2027 developers have also taken similar steps in barring physical and digital sales to customers in both countries. Activision Blizzard notably hasn't blocked sales in Belarus, only Russia. But yeah, you can see a load of companies are taking a similar stance. Epic Games, as you can see from this tweet, have done the same thing. It was actually earlier this week that the Ukrainian Vice Prime Minister called for Xbox and PlayStation to temporarily block Russian and Belarusian accounts and halt their participation in esports events. He did later ask a number of developers, including Epic Games, Nintendo, Rockstar, and Tencent, to halt their games in Russia, which is what most companies either have done now or are in the process of doing. So again, another big article, something that will affect Activision and many companies. A big part of their sales would have come from those countries, but of course there's a more important message here. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about was this from Charlie Intel. I'm actually not too sure where you can find the whole thing, but they tweeted in a new filing, Activision Blizzard's annual report states that the company is struggling to attract and retain talent at the company. It also says that Call of Duty, Warcraft, and Candy Crush represent 82% of the company's revenue, which, considering how many games Activision own, to think that just 3 represent over 80% of their revenue is pretty crazy, although obviously those ones there are the big boys, COD, Warcraft, and Candy Crush. But just taking a quick look at what this filing said, we follow a franchise model, and a significant portion of our revenue has historically been derived from products based on a relatively small number of popular franchises. These products are also responsible for a disproportionately high percentage of our profits. For example, in 2021, revenues associated with the Call of Duty, Candy Crush, and Warcraft franchises collectively accounted for approximately 82% of our net revenues, and a significantly higher percentage of our operating income. We expect that a relatively limited number of popular franchises will continue to produce a disproportionately high percentage of our revenues and profits. Due to this dependence on a limited number of franchises, the failure to achieve anticipated results by one or more products based on these franchises could negatively impact our business. Additionally, if a popularity of a franchise declines, as has happened in the past with other popular franchises, we may have to write off the unrecovered portion of the underlying intellectual property assets, which could negatively impact our business. So that's actually pretty interesting. We know COD, being the biggest game franchise out there, does bring in most of Activision's revenue, but they're right, considering the size of this company, the amount they've just been purchased for or about to, it's actually crazy to think that most of their revenue comes from just 3 games, considering the amount of games that Activision own. And when you think about it even further, I did a video on this recently, but the amount of games that Activision put out now compared to what they used to is nothing. Nowadays, all we get from them is COD, so is it really surprising when they don't try new things? They just stick to the one same formula that works, and well, from what I've witnessed, from what we've seen over the past year, it's actually doing more harm to them than good. They're ruining their reputation. So a lot of this is down to their own doing, but could this all change when Microsoft takes them over? We'll just have to see. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Some very interesting articles. If you've enjoyed the video today, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.